Loads of you getting in touch at 7:44 with your dog pictures. It says Labrador, but I can't...
No, it's International Golden Retriever Day.
So I don't know if you've sent in Labradors or Golden Retrievers.
Well, let's have a look.
This is Karen, who sent Tilly in. Now, that is a lab.
That is Tilly. That's a lab.
But beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. And Patricia has sent in this one of Devon. Oh, no... Well, Golden Retriever.
I think so, yeah.
Quite dark gold as well. Lovely picture, thank you.
And Julia, I don't know if this is right. No, this can't be right, because it says Julia has sent in a picture of Julia. But you can't name a dog after yourself.
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. But it's still a beautiful dog. Thank you so much.
That is a Golden Retriever.
Yeah.
Either Julia the dog or Julia the owner, whichever way it is. Very good.
It's all very confusing. It's International Golden Retriever Day, so particularly if you're a Golden Retriever owner...
Oh, the dog's called Lizzie.
Oh, the dog's Lizzie. That makes more sense, doesn't it?
There we go, I'm being told. There we go. All right, let's have a look through the papers then this morning with writer and columnist Emma Wolfe and showbiz reporter Stephanie Tecci. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's kick off with what's going on in the Middle East, Emma, with these US strikes overnight.
I'm not even a doggy person, and I have to say those dogs were absolutely very, very sweet. Yeah, so the US has been launching further airstrikes in Syria and Iraq, obviously in retaliation for those drone strikes last weekend in Jordan. That was an attack on an American airbase, which killed 3 soldiers. And Joe Biden has been talking very tough. He's been saying, if you harm an American, we will respond. He's absolutely...
And he's stuck to his word.
He's absolutely, he's doing what he said he's doing. It's very clear that these strikes are going to be the first of several more against these Iranian-backed militia in the region. Also this weekend, Anthony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, is arriving in the region.
He's trying to secure...
isn't he?
Yeah, he's trying to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas. So it's just an incredibly fraught time, and, you know,
There are some headlines today suggesting that an agreement between Hamas and Israel is looking a little bit more likely when it comes to the releasing of hostages.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how true that is, whether that's just wishful thinking, but it's there in quite a few of the newspapers today.
Yes, it is, and we have to hope that there is some substance to that, but of course it's just such a kind of difficult situation at the moment. I mean, Netanyahu has been talking really tough and, you know, only a few days ago saying, you know, if people aren't with us, if the Allies aren't going to stand with us, if people have changed their minds since October the 7th, we haven't changed ours. And what he vowed on October the 7th and 8th was basically, I'm going to eliminate Hamas. Well, how do you do that when Hamas is an ideology, not just a bunch of fighters? When you are creating every single day, you are creating more Hamas believers and adherents, aren't you?
Yeah, and it appears that every square inch of Gaza is Hamas infiltrated, at least.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
And the suffering of people on both sides, the suffering of people.
You just don't see no end in sight. No. You know, just every time... I understand why some people are just put off watching the news now, because it's just so much... All you're hearing is constant war, more strikes, and you just think to yourself, when is this all going to end? It's just... It feels like it's just escalating everywhere you're looking.
We are in one of those periods at the moment where there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It does happen in cycles. I don't know why.
It does, and you get... Certainly... I think older people, but maybe young people as well, which is worrying, saying, I don't want to live in a world like this. You know, I didn't ever want to live in a world.
No, I didn't sign up for this.
No, that's right.
At all.
What choice have we got?
Well, I don't... Yes,
For the first time, I've actually thought, my 3-year-old, what will it be like in 20 years? What kind of world, especially Britain, because I feel really depressed about the state of our country at the moment. It does feel very depressed and very sad and very
It'll be
divided.
better for your 3-year-old.
But will it? I mean, what direction are we going in? We're going in a direction where teenagers are killing each other. I mean...
But because we're in this cycle at the minute where everything seems to be going wrong, it will improve.
It will, it does.
It might be all going wrong again.
If you live long enough, you know that.
The planet, Stephen, we hear terrible things about, you know, the future of the environment. It just seems as though more conflict, more division and more...
But over my life, I've found that there are times that you can go and visit Israel and go to the Middle East and go and see the pyramids and all the rest of it. And there are whole 10-year, 15-year periods where you can't. And then things do get better again. It's just so weird. But it's terrible that I worry. Older people I know think things like that. I worry that younger people are thinking that this world is horrible.
It is. It just feels quite ghastly.
And I know a lot of older people who say, you know, it was better in my youth, I wouldn't be young now, who genuinely say, people in their 70s who say, I wouldn't want to be growing up in this world, you know. I'm glad that I had my time, and it did feel like a more...
I wish I was a child of the 70s. The 70s just seems like it was the best era. 70s, 80s and a bit of the 90s.
The 80s were good.
The 70s were Cold War. We were worried all the time that somebody was going to press a nuclear button.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
we always had iodine tablets in the drawer.
Yeah. Iodine tablets?
Well, it's in case there's radiation. Yeah, you have to take iodine.
God.
Because we obviously live near Sellafield, so there's always, you know, that would be a target. But also the shipyard in Barrow was a target, so we always had iodine. Was always about. Yeah.
But there are always. I mean, I used to talk to my mum about this, and she was a teenager in the war. And can you imagine living through the World War, not knowing how it's going to end? I mean, it could have ended in the worst possible way. And this whole generation grew up not knowing how it was going to end. And in the end, you know, they were dancing in the Mall on VE Day.
Exactly. My father was dancing in the Mall on VE Day and used to tell me about that. And he was in his 90s when he died. But there was a sense of collective... People were brought together by wars and things like that in this country. Wasn't there a sense of kind of in it together?
Well, I mean, that's another thing the older generation used to say about, particularly about kids in the 60s, that they were on their motorbikes, so, you know, what were they called? The mods and rockers and everything. Everybody thought the world was coming to an end then. People of my mother's generation used to say what they need is a war. Because it concentrates the mind. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say.
Well, they do say things have to get worse before they can get better.
I promise you they will.
Talk about things that started well, though, Stephanie.
Ooh.
This is in the Mail this morning. The Queen Elizabeth, that is, apparently liked Meghan.
Yeah, so I always thought they did have a good relationship before things went down south with them. But in Ingrid Stewart's new book, My Mother and I, she says that the Queen was quite optimistic when she first met Meghan because she thought it was a chance for both Meghan and Harry to really connect with the younger people of the Commonwealth and to really put the royal family in good stead and, you know, just to help rebrand the image of the royal family. But that just all went really badly, according to Ingrid Stewart, when they started planning their wedding. They said during the whole wedding preparation, Harry's attitude towards the Queen was quite bad during that time. Yeah, that's what I was saying. And they were saying with the service as well. You know, the service was quite long. They weren't used to, royals weren't used to services like that. But apparently Prince Philip knew from the start about Meghan. Apparently he nicknamed her D.O.W., Duchess of Windsor, because he was saying that, because he could see the similarities.
Long memory.
Obviously, you know, she was Wallis Simpson, who was a fellow US divorcee, so he was always on guard about Meghan.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and apparently the Queen said she didn't like Meghan's wedding dress, her Givenchy dress. Apparently she said it was too white, and because she was a divorcee, she shouldn't come across as virginal.
Oh,
yeah.
Well...
The other really interesting royal story, which I'm sure Steph will know a lot more about than I do, yesterday, was the fact that the King now seems to have cleared it for Andrew and Fergie to remarry if they want to, because obviously they're living together again now.
Would they remarry?
Back at the Royal Lodge.
Well,
do they need to? But would it help them financially? Would it help them both in terms of their reputation?
They've never not lived together.
No, but I think like a lot of people are saying they're actually back together, and obviously Fergie's been going through her health battles and Andrew's been going through his scandals, and I think they've been a rock for each other, so it would be nice for them to get married again.
And it was Prince Philip who was very anti-Fergie for all those years, and since his death, Fergie has been gradually welcomed back into the fold. She was never allowed at Sandringham Christmases. She was never allowed to hang out with the royal family, apparently, when the Duke of Edinburgh was around. And the Queen was much more welcoming of Fergie. And I think the British public have kind of, especially with her
she's all right.
with her health battles, I think that they have kind of opened their arms a bit.
I met her years ago, about 10, 15 years ago, and all she did was talk about Andrew.
Yeah.
Really?
To be fair.
Clearly, they're still in love with each other and they have a good relationship.
Yeah, I think a lot of older couples that get divorced realise that they're actually quite... They're really good together. They work together.
So they don't know.
In some way.
Yeah. Well,
Be fun to have another royal wedding.
We've got 50...
Well, it wouldn't, doesn't it also say that if they did that, they would get married very, very quietly?
They would,
in one of the chapels in St George's.
Because of Andrew.
Yeah, I think for Andrew, he'll have a hard time trying to get back in the public's good books again, even if he did get remarried again.
Yeah, I think it'd take more than a wedding to sort Andrew out. to be perfectly honest. Right, we better leave it there. I think. Just, we've got lots more coming up for you. Loads of your views coming through. We'll go through some of those in just a moment as well. Plus, we'll be getting a check on the weather because I can't work the weather out at the minute.
It's unseasonably mild.
Apparently.
But probably that won't last for long because I thought it was going to snow yesterday. Here's Alex Burkill.